So let us see a few operating system questions and answers generally asked in interview. What is an operating system? An operating system is a program or set of programs that acts as an intermediary between user and computer hardware. So user is there and computer hardware is there. So this operating system sits in between them. And the purpose of an OS, in short form OS, is to provide a convenient environment in which a user can execute programs in a convenient and efficient manner. This is also a resource allocator responsible for allocating various system resources and control program which controls the operation of the computer hardware. Why paging is used? Paging is solution to external fragmentation problem. This is the problem which happens in the memory, and to solve it, paging is used. Why it is used? Which is used to permit the logical address space of a process to be non-contiguous, thus allowing a process to be allocating physical memory wherever the latter is possible. The page concepts, it shows or it allows user to run their program freely without getting worried about not getting the space in the memory to run them. Explain the concept of badged operating systems. The badged operating system, in this, the users give their jobs to the operator who sorts the program according to their requirements and executes them. So not a single program but a batch or a bunch of program is given to the OS, and OS provides the result, and first of all it chooses from them and provides the result as and when, and the user or the receiver has to go and collect the result. So this is time consuming but makes the CPU busy all the time. What is the purpose of different operating system? Why can't we have single operating system? The machine purpose workstation, individual usability and resource utilization. Mainframe optimizes utilization of hardware, PC support complex programs, business application, and handheld PC, easy interface and minimum power consumption. All these things are there to make different requirement for different operating systems. What is virtual memory? As the name suggests, it is virtual, means the memory which is not there but still present. Means physically it is not there. Virtual memory is a hardware technique where the system appears to have more memory than it actually have. So this is done via time sharing, means the physical memory and the storage part of the memory, that is disk, when they are not active, being used in a time sharing manner. What is throughput, turnaround time, waiting time and response time? Throughput means the number of processes that complete their execution per unit time. A processor is there and various number of processes are given to the processor. So the per unit time completion, how many processes are completed per unit time is the throughput. What is turnaround time? Turnaround time is the amount of time to execute a particular process. Means this is processor. One process is given and how much time does it take for it to complete? This duration is known as turnaround time. Waiting time, the amount of time a process has been waiting in the ready queue. So there are various queues in an operating system. So one is the ready queue where the process is waiting to be executed or to get the attention of the processor. So waiting time is the amount of time which a processor in this ready queue RQ and waiting for its turn to be executed. So the time it spends here is the waiting time. Response time, the amount of time it takes from when a request was submitted until the first response is produced, not output. Please understand, it is not output. So this is a processor, and we provide a process to this processor, and processor start processing on particular process, and the time when it provides or it gives signals the first time, means it gives the response. Okay, first response it gives, so the time of submission to the receive or receival of the first response, not the complete output, only the first response is the response time. What are the various components of a computer system? You have in a computer system the hardware, the operating system, the application programs, and of course you, that is the users. What is real-time system? Real-time system. A real-time process is a process that must respond to the event switch in a certain time period. Means the processor has to have or receive an response whenever it is ready. Okay, it is ready to be executed. It must get a response in certain stipulated time. A real-time operating system is an operating system that can run real-time processes successfully, because it is very time-bound. Explain the concept of distributed system. What are the distributed systems? As the name suggests, they are distributed. Distributed systems work in a network. They can share the network resources, communicate with each other. What is SCSI? SCSI? SCSI is Small Computer System Interface, right? This SCSI is Small Computer Interface. This is a type of interface, as it is interface. It is a type of interface used for computer components such as hard drive, optical drive, scanners, and tape drives, right? It is computing technology to IDE, integrated drive electronics. These are all the method of interfacing various drives and with your systems. What is a sector? Smallest addressable portion of a disk. Let me show you. If this is a disk, there are number of you can think number of rings, and the data. And these rings are divided into various parts. This is the addressable part, means the data is stored here. This is called a sector. What are the different operating systems? You have batch operating system, multi-program operating system, time-sharing operating system, distributed operating system, and real-time operating system. What is busy waiting? The repeated execution of a loop of code while waiting for an event to occur is called a busy waiting. As the name suggests, you are waiting, but you are busy in waiting. Means the repeated execution of a loop of code while waiting for an event to occur. What are system calls? System calls provides the interface between a process and the operating system. Right? You have a process, and here is the operating system. So there has to be some interface how that process can communicate or provide information to OS. There has to be some system call. System calls for our this Microsoft Windows platform are part of W32 API, Windows 32 API, Windows 64 API, which is available for all the compilers, which is written in especially Microsoft Windows. What are various scheduling queues? We have job queue, ready queue, device queue. These are various scheduling queues. If you are aware of Java, or the interviewer is interested in Java, they may ask, what are Java threads? Java is one of the small number of languages that support at the language level for the creation and management of thread. So Java allows you to create threads. However, because threads are managed by the Java virtual machine JVM, not by the user level library or kernel, it is difficult to classify Java threads as either user level or kernel level. So if somebody asks whether it is user level or kernel level, you must say, because this is addressed by JVM, Java virtual machine, it is very difficult to say whether it is user or kernel level. What are type of threads? Thread is a very loved topic of the interviewers. What are the types of threads? You have two types of threads: user threads and kernel level threads. What is the semaphore? Semaphore, it is a synchronization tool. Semaphore is nothing but a synchronization tool which is used to solve complex critical section problems. So semaphore is related to the critical section problem, and this is a solution. So it is a synchronization tool for solving this critical section problem. Semaphore is an integer variable that apart from initialization, semaphore is an integer variable that apart from initialization is accessed only once you initialize it. After that, it can only be accessed through only two standard atomic operations. Atomic means that operation will happen only when the other operations are not going on, and they will happen in entirety. So these are wait and signal. Actually, wait decreases one amount, signal increases one amount of that integer. So by this, a synchronization is achieved, that if some wait signal is there, no other process can enter the critical section, and vice versa. What is deadlock? Deadlock is a situation where a group of processes are blocked and none of them can become unblocked until one of the other becomes unblocked. So all are waiting for the other to be unblocked, and this is not possible because everyone is waiting for other to be unblocked and every other is waiting for the next one to be unblocked. So the simplest deadlock is you have two processes, each is waiting for a message from the other. So you have two processes, P1, P2. P1 says I am waiting for P2 to respond, P2 says I am waiting for P1 to respond, and not a single process, both of them can proceed ahead. What is a cache memory? Cache memory is a kind of random access memory because it is a volatile memory that a computer microprocessor can access more quickly than it can access regular RAM. This cache is now, most of the caches level 1, right now we have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 cache. So these caches you can find in onboard only. So if it is onboard, the processor can easily access them. So as the microprocessor processes data, it first goes to this cache memory, and if it finds the data there, it does not have to do the more time consuming reading of data. So because if it is not in cache, it will go to the RAM. If it is not in the RAM, it will go to the hard drive. So there are a number of hops and overheads and latency. To avoid these latencies, this cache concept is chosen. What is thrashing? Thrashing, it is a phenomena in virtual memory. You will find it in virtual memory scheme. When the processor spends most of its time swapping pages, there are two memories. Say you have a RAM and you have hard drive. Now pages are being taken and they are received, they are being replaced. All these things are going on rather than actually providing it to the processor. So this time wasting or the overhead is actually thrashing, and thrashing has to be as low as possible. So this is due to inordinate number of page faults. What are the states of a process? A process can be in various states in its life cycle: new, running, waiting, ready, and terminated. What is a binary semaphore? A binary semaphore is one which takes only 0 and 1 as values, as we just discussed, and they are used to implement mutual exclusion and synchronize current processes. For mutual exclusion and synchronization of processes, this binary semaphore is used, which can take only its value 0 or 1. What is a job queue? When a process enters a system, it is placed in a job queue. What is a ready queue? The processes that are residing in the main memory already and are ready and waiting to execute are kept on a list which is called a ready queue. So a step just ahead of being processed is ready queue. What are turnaround time and response time? We have already seen this. Turnaround time is the interval between submission of a job and its completion. Means pure submission to pure completion. This is the interval. While response time means you submit it and the first response comes. This is the duration which is known as the response time. What are the operating system components? There are huge tasks which are performed by operating system, like managing the process, managing the main memory, managing the file, input-output management of the networking or secondary storage, and security protection, and command interpret system. All these are the work of operating system. There are various work. These are the major head. What is mutex? Mutex, mutual exclusion. Mutex is a program object that allows multiple program threads to share the same resource, such as file access, but not simultaneously. That because the name is mutual exclusion, so that ensures that this program object they can share multiple program threads to share the same resources. For example, file access, but not simultaneously. This is very important. So when a program is started, a mutex is created with a unique name, and after this stage, any thread that needs the resource must log the mutex from other threads while it is using the resource. The mutex is set to unlog when the data is no longer needed or the routine is finished. What is marshalling? Marshalling. The process of packaging and sending interface method parameters across the threads or process boundaries. Okay, so if you have various processes or threads working, threads are there, thread 1, thread 2. So the process of packaging and sending interface methods. You have one method, there is a packaging or way of sending. You send here, and this is what is called as the marshalling. What are the residence monitors? Early operating systems were called residence monitors. Before they can be called as OS, they were known as resident monitors. Why thread is called as lightweight process, LWP? Because it is called as LWP or lightweight process to emphasize the fact that a thread is like a process. It is a process. It mimics all activities of a process, but it is more efficient and uses fewer resources. So rather than having a process control block and all those things which take time for a process to be born until the time it completes, it does not do that. It does not require it. That is why they are lighter. And they also share the address space, while process has their own address space. But the beauty of thread is they all share the address space. What are the operating system services? As we have already seen, program execution, operation, file system communication, error detection, resource allocation, accounting, protection, security. All these are tasks of operating system. Whatever task you see in operating system, if you have worked in any operating system, Microsoft Windows, Mac or BSD, whatever task you see, you can say that. No problem with that. There are so many tasks that the task you say, the interviewer will be happy that you know it. What is a process? We have talked about process and threads a lot. Let us see if they are asked what is a process. So a program under execution is called a process. Process cannot be called as a program until and unless it is with the microprocessor. So, or it may also be called as a unit of work. So a process needs some system resources as CPU, time, memory, files and IO devices to accomplish its task. So each process is represented in operating system by a process control block, task control block or PCB. This control block or process control block has all the information of a process. The processes are of two types, operating system processes and user processes. What are the different job scheduling in operating systems? Scheduling is the activity of deciding when process will receive the resource they request. So if there is a processor and there are a number of processes, P1, P2 or say Pn up till Pn. Now there has to be some management of how to give or which process to be read first, executed first, depending on various conditions. This is the task of job scheduling. Like FCFS. FCFS means first come first serve. So in this, the job that has been waiting for longest is served first, means next. Round robin scheduling is a scheduling method in which each process gets a small chunk of time, a small quantity of time to run, and then it is taken off, means preempted. And next process gets into the processor, and this is called time sharing. So this can also be termed as time sharing, and it gives the effect of all the processes running at the same time. Now SJF means shortest job first. The shortage of first scheduling algorithm is a non-preemptive scheduling algorithm that chooses the job that will execute the shortest amount of time. So if you have this P1 to Pn, the job which will complete in the shortest time is taken first, and likewise. And priority scheduling is a scheduling method where at all times a higher priority process is assigned to the resources. You imagine that in a road, in a road traffic, ambulance is coming. So ambulance is giving the highest priority and others have to stop. What is a dual mode operation? In order to protect the operating system and the system programs from malfunctioning programs, there are two modes like system mode, user mode. What is a device queue? We have seen this. A list of processes waiting for a particular I/O device is called a device. What are the different types of real-time scheduling? Hard time or hard real-time scheduling and soft real-time scheduling. This hard real-time scheduling or systems are required to complete a critical task within a guaranteed amount of time. This is very important. While the soft real computing requires the critical process to receive priority over less fortunate ones. What is starvation? Starvation means you are not feeding something. Starvation is a resource management problem where a process does not get the resource it needs for a long time, waiting because the resources are being allocated to other processes. Means you consider, we have just seen an example. Let us consider in a traffic you are waiting and or you are running and a VIP person has come. So a VIP person, if he is 4 or 5 kilometers away, then also you will be stopped and he has to first pass, then you will be allowed. So you are waiting indefinitely. That is the starvation. What is a long-term scheduler or a short-term scheduler? Long-term scheduler are the job scheduler that select process from a job queue and load them into memory for execution. So job queue means it takes the process from the secondary memory and it places it to the memory for execution. While short-term scheduler has a different task. These are the CPU schedulers that select a process which is in the ready queue, not in the job queue, but in the ready queue and allocate them to the CPU. What is fragmentation? Fragmentation occurs in a dynamic memory allocation system when many of the free blocks are too small to satisfy any request. So you consider this as a memory. Now this is failed. This is failed. This is failed. Okay. Now if you combine this free area, a process can very well work. Combined, but in separate areas, P1 cannot fit. This also in this place also P1 cannot fit. This is kind of fragmentation. What is context switching? This is a overhead. Context switching is an overhead. Means transferring the control from one process to another requires saving the state of the old process. That is why they are not thread. Threads are lightweight process, but process needs lot of things to be done. So if only transferring of control from one processor to another process is going on, and for example you have to save the state, load this next state, process state, all these things are context switching. So this particular task is known as context switching. What is relative path and absolute path? Relative path and absolute path. Absolute path is the exact path for the root directory. The relative path is relative to the current path. What are the disadvantages of context switching? We have just seen it. Time taken for switching from one process to another process is a pure overhead. Because the system does no useful work, there is no useful work because only switching is going on. So one of the solution is to go for threading wherever possible, not for these processes. What is the state of the processor when a processor is waiting for some event to occur? It is waiting state. What is the difference between primary storage and secondary storage? This is primary, this is secondary. So main memory, only large storage media that the CPU can access directly are placed in main memory. Secondary storage, extension of main memory that provides large non-volatile storage capacity. Main memory is volatile. Volatile means as soon as you switch off the power, all the data will be gone. What is process synchronization? A situation where several processes accesses and manipulate the data concurrently, and the outcome of the execution depends only on the particular order in which access takes place. This is called race condition. So to guard against the race condition, we need to ensure that only one process at a time can be manipulating the same data. The technique we use for this is called the process synchronization. So concurrent and continuous, working or expectancy of the processes can be relieved by this process synchronization. What is data register and address register? Data register can be assigned to a variety of functions by the programmer, and they can be used with many machine instructions that performs operation on data. While address register, they contain main memory address of data and instruction, or they contain a portion of the address that is used in the calculation of the complete address. What are deadlock prevention techniques? There are four properties that should hold if a deadlock has to happen. Mutual exclusion, holder wait, no preemption, and circular wait. You stop all these or any of these, deadlock prevention will not occur. What is the difference between compiler and interpreter? An interpreter reads one instruction only at a time, only one instruction, and carries out the action implied by that instruction. And it does not perform any translation, but a compiler does translate the entire instructions. What is the safe state and what is its use in deadlock avoidance? When a process requires an available source, system must decide if immediate allocation leaves the system in a safe state. So system is in safe state if there exists a safe sequence of all the processes. And for deadlock avoidance, it ensures that the system will never enter an unsafe state. What is the difference between microkernel and macrokernel? Microkernel is a minimal operating system that performs only the essential function of an operating system, and all other operating system functions are performed by the system processes. While this monolithic operating system is one where all operating system code is in a single executable image and all operating system code runs in the system code. What is DRAM? DRAM is dynamic RAM. DRAM stores the data in the form of capacitance, and static RAM stores the data in voltages. DRAM in capacitance and SRAM in voltages. That is why here some leakage is there. You have to always charge it. What are the different functions of a scheduler? Scheduler deals with the problem of deciding which of the process in the ready queue is to be allocated to the CPU. Short-term schedulers, long-term schedulers are there. What is trap and trapdoor? Trapdoor is a secret undocumented entry in a program used to grant access without normal methods or access authentication. So if this is your gate, this is your backdoor gate, you have some point here from where somebody can infiltrate. This is a trapdoor. While trap is a simple thing, it's a software interrupt, usually the result of error condition. What are the local and global page replacements? Local replacement means that an incoming page is brought in only to the relevant process address space, while global replacement policy allow any page frame from any process to be replaced. So the latter is applicable to variable partitions mode only or model only. What is cache coherency? In a multiprocessor system, there exist several caches, different caches. Each may contain a copy of same variable. So then change in one cache should immediately be reflected in other cache. This process of maintaining the same value of data in all the caches is called cache coherency. So if you have level 1, level 2 cache, whatever change has been done in a level 1, that has to be at that time given to L2 to be updated. What are the benefits of multi-threaded programming? If you are multi-thread programming, the good responsiveness, resource sharing will be good, economy, utilization of multiprocessor architectures. So these were a few questions on operating system. Thank you so much. Take care.